Okay, we are learning Yoma Daf Mem Tes Amud Aleph. We are middle of a shaila of halacha bismoil. If the kohen, after being makabel adam, after a regular shechita of a carbon, you're makabel adam biyamin, and then he put it into his left hand and he walks to the mizbeach. Is halacha bismoil puzzle. So Gemara brought a raya from our Mishnah that said that you took the keteris that was in a kaf, he took that in his left hand and he brought that to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So you see that halacha b'smail is not a problem. Frakti Gemara Tabavim Tesamad Aleph Meisvei Zar is someone who's not a kohen. Va'einin, someone who lost one of his relatives that he would sit shiva for, and he's before kvura, so he's an oinein, a pater from mitzvahs. Shikar, someone who is drunk. Ubal mum, someone who has a mum that passes him from doing the avodah. B'kabbalah, u'b'halacha, u'b'zricha, pasel. If he were to do any of those three avodas, kabbalah, halacha, zrika, so he's going to be that pasels that avodah. V'chein, similarly, yoshev, if he sits down. V'chein smile, if he does it with his left hand. Puzzle, that's invalid. Tiyufta, so that's a stark kasha. We slug him up. Rashi, top of the page. Zar va'in v'shikar bal mum kula nafki lam ekroy the machli avodah. They're all learned out that they possibly avodah. Now, for the Gemara, I don't understand. Like this is like a brisa. Rav Sheshes didn't know the brisa. Okay, you can assume he didn't. The problem is that we know Rav Sheshes knew this brisa. But Rav Sheshes, who the oisva? Rav Sheshes asks a kasha from this brisa. The Amali Rav Sheshes le'amayre de Rav Chizda. And we're going to prove now that Rav Sheshes knew this brisa. So how was it that he had the shaila and he was patient that it was okay when he knew this brisa? So how do we know he knew this brisa? So it goes like this. Ba'ami name Rav Chizda. He asked from Rav Chizda, Halacha bizar mahu. What's the halacha? Can a zar do? A zar means a non-kohen do halacha. If a kohen did the kabbalah adam, can a zar now go bring it to the mizbeach? Now, Amar le kshera, it would be kosher. Umikroy misayene, and I have a pasuk that backs me up. The pasuk says, "V'yishchitu haPesach, v'yishachta the Pesach, v'yizrku hakehanim miyadam," and the Kehanim did the zrika from their hands. Va'aleviyim mafshitim, and the Levim were mafshid. So now, if they shechted the Pesach, the Yizrku HaKehanim miyadam, who is doing the shechita on this Pesach? Says Rashi, the Yizrku HaKehanim hadam miyadam shall shechtim shehim zarim. There was a zar that was doing the shechita, and the Kehanim received the dam from the sheichtim. V'chazru v'kiblu hadam miyad hakoyin hamekabel v'yilichu el hazerik. V'chazru v'kiblu hadam miyad hakoyin hamekabel v'yilichu el hazerik. So the zar did the shechita, a koyin did the kabbalah. It sounds like gave it back to the sheikhid who brought it over to the kohen to do the zrika. That's what it sounds like the pasuk is saying. So you see that halacha bizar is kshera. Umaysiv Rav Sheshes, and Rav Sheshes asks a kasha from this brisa. Zar va'enim shikar bal mum kabel va'halacha b'zrika pasel v'chein nesha v'chein small pasel. So we see clearly that Rav Sheshes knew this brisa. So if he knew this brisa, why was he clearing whether a zar, whether you could do halacha b'smail? It's in fruition in the brisa. Must be basu deshama. It was only after he heard this brisa, asked the kasha on him. Now he knew the brisa hadar isva. Now he was able to use that as a kasha on Rav Chizda. Practically, Rav Chizda Kroi Kamar. So Gemara says, yeah, but they have a pasuk. He has a pasuk, Rav Chizda. So a pasuk wins, beats a brisa. Says Gemara, you got the wrong shot. You're right that after the kohen was makabel adam, he gave it back to the sheikhid, but the sheikhid just stood there. He didn't walk with it. He was, says the Gemara, the Ovid Maisa Itztaba. He did the act of a stand. He just held it up, but he didn't go anywhere with it. Okay. By Rav Papa has another shayla. Chofan chaveiroi v'nasan l'teich chofnav. What happens if the Kohen Gadol himself didn't do the chafina? Another Kohen did it and put it into the hands of the Kohen Gadol. Mahu. What's the halacha? Malay chafnav be'inan. Do I need him to have a handful? V'ika. He has it. Okay. Or oidelma v'lokach v'hevi be'inan. V'halaka. The pasuk starts off v'lokach malay hamachtagach le'esh me'al mizbeach l'fnei Hashem u'malay chafnav keter sam v'daka v'hevi mi'beis like broiches. It starts off v'lokach. He takes a shovelful of coal and a malay chafnav, a handful of keteris, and he brings it l'fnei v'lifnim. So is that v'lokach, that ma'isa lakicha, is that necessary also for the chafina? Does he have to do the lokach malay chafnav, or is it enough if his hands just get filled up? Teku, that's the shayla. Now, let's take a look at Taisus for a minute. Tamali Taisus has ha'ibai le'el kvar ki agavna gabi bein habenim. L'chayr, this is very similar to the shayla of bein habenim. Remember the shayla of bein habenim, Taisus learned. Bein habenim was if it's in between the fingers. Do you have to do a ma'isa lakicha? Because anything that's in between the fingers, there was no ma'isa lakicha done on. It came memela. And is it enough if it comes memela? L'chayr, that's the same issue here. So, v'yesh leimar be'im timtzu leimar kaimer. Taisus explains the shayla a little differently. There's im timtzu leimar bein habenim loy. If you'll say bein habenim is no good, the loy karbe v'lokach v'hevi, because that's not called a ma'isa lakicha. Kivin the loy asi mikayach gavra, because it didn't come from. He's saying the reason why it wouldn't be good is because it didn't come from your own. Mikayach gavra means by with Koyach Gavra is like it didn't have a human power. It wasn't you being humanly powered because it just happened. It was once it was in your hand, then it just went in between your fingers. But you didn't take it. There was missing Koyach Gavra. So the shayla is, but here you have Koyach Gavra. It's just somebody else's Koyach Gavra. So Hachamai mi amrin avagav the lav ihu chafan. Nikamakam kiven de mikach gavra kasi shaper dami. V'shaper kirna le v'lokach halakach mishu v'yasem b'chavtam shel kohen gadol. I can still call that v'lokach because I don't need you to take it. I just need it to be taken. I need there to be a koyach gavra. I need there to be a human involvement in it. Or dilma v'lokach v'hevi b'inan shel koyach yavi, that I need the same person who is going to be bringing it in does the actual lekicha. Okay, geschmack. That's a shayla, and the Gemara blibes teku. Okay. By Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Rav Yeshua ben Levi has the following shayla. Chafan umeis. Ma'u sheyachnes acher bechafinase. What happens if the Kohen Gadol does the chafina, and he fills up the kaf, the spoon, and then he dies? Can another Kohen Gadol, right now someone's going to take over for this Kohen Gadol, can he use this keteris, or does he have to do his own chafina? Says Rashi, Ma'oshi yachnis acher, Kohen hamishamish tachad. The Kohen was coming in his place. Ma'oshi yachnis lefnim bechafina zu can shenasan arishon l'tech hakaf ve'in tzarich lachzer v'lichvein. Can a second Kohen use this malay chafnav of the original Kohen Gadol? So it says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Chanina, Ba'ayu re'ei she'ilas harishonim. Come and see that this is a question that was asked. Or like, I'm so happy to hear, Ba'ayu re'ei she'ilas harishonim. I'm so happy to hear that the Dar Ha'achron was zoichel lehischakim kederis harishonim. Sha'avaniya yisi sheila sheila Rashi says, I also asked the sheila, and now I see that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, who's older than me, also asked the sheila. So he was very happy to hear that, like, he was machaven to the sheila. But Rei sheilas rishonim. So what does that mean? La memra the Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi koshish. So Rabbi Chanina is implying, according to this Gemara, that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is older than him, because he's calling Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi the Rishonim. So we have a problem with that, because Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi made the following comment: Li hitter Rabbi Chanina lishtes shachlayim b'Shabbos. Rabbi Chanina, first he calls him. The point is that he's calling Rabbi Chanina. So apparently he was not older than Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chanina was older than him. Okay, that's going to be the raya. But the Gemara, let's discuss what the Gemara's the point that the Gemara is making, that this is made about. So Rabbi Chanina permitted me to drink shachlayim on Shabbos. Now shachlayim is some vegetable that helped for something. Now, for the Gemara, you don't need Rabbi Chanina to be matter you to drink shachlayim on Shabbos, even if you're doing it for refuah. The time we learned in the Mishnah, if you're eating something that's food, but you happen to be doing it for refuah purposes, that's fine. Get a little background. You're not allowed to. The refuah is asur on Shabbos. Chazal were geyser on taking medicine or doing things that are refuah because of they were concerned that if we allow people to take medicine, they're going to end up grinding up whatever they need for the medicine. So Chazal prohibited doing refuah on Shabbos for a regular mechash, if you're uncomfortable. But if you, let's say your throat's hurting, so you want to drink some tea with honey, so to soothe your throat, so that's fine. You could do that. You could eat and drink even if your intent is for refuah, because that's normal. So I don't need Rabbi Chanina to be matir me to drink shachlayim. Ella lishchoik, to grind up v'lishte shachlayim b'Shabbos. He permitted me to grind up. Now that's an issa d'oraisa on Shabbos. So for the Gemara, 1 second. Hey Chidami, what's the case? Ida ika sakanta. Well, if you're in a sakana, so mishra, so then it's mutter. V'ilaka sakanta, if your life is not in danger, so mitzvah, then it's usr. Then it's usr. You can't be over an d'oraisa even for a chela she'en by sakana. If you have a headache or you're not feeling well, you can't be over an d'oraisa. So what does it mean he was matir you? Says the Gemara, la'olam dika sakanta. Avada, the case was that he was a besakana. So what do you need Rabbi Chanina to be matir for? V'achi kami baile. Here was the sheila. Mi masya, does shachalayim help for this? Denechel alayu shabta that malabi machal Shabbos. Oilay maser, or does it not heal? This is not a helpful medication for this ailment. V'lo nechel alayu shabta, and therefore it's not worth being machal Shabbos. So what are you asking Rabbi Chanina for? Was he a doctor or a pharmacist? Says the Gemara, Mishum debaki b'refuisu. He was an expert in medicine. How do we know that? Rabbi Chanina me'oil moisha alani adam amakas preda levana v'chaya. We're proving that people used to ask him about refuah, and he's saying that I never had a situation where somebody asked me about getting hit by a white ferd and living. In fact, we see that people get hit, have a makkah, they get hit, they get injured from a predel levana and they live. Ema, no, what I mean is, v'chayisa, they get healed. V'chazin and demasi, we see that they get healed. Besumkin inu v'chivran reish karayu kamrinan. I'm talking about a red preda that has a white head. That's what I'm referring to. Other ones could heal. If you get from one of those, you get a hit or bite or something from one of those, you're not going to make it out. Mikomakim. Okay, so that was the story with Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi and Rabbi Chanina. But what do we see from it? Shmamina, the Rabbi Chanina koshes. If Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is calling him Rabbi Chanina and getting a heter from him, so he must have been older than him. So what was Rabbi Chanina saying? Oh, I'm so happy that the older generation is asking the same question as me. So it wasn't the older generation, it's the younger generation. El hachi kamar, she'ilasan kishe'ila sharishenim. He was saying, the question Rabbi Shua ben Levi is asking is a shayla like the Rishonim asked, meaning me, the earlier generation asked. Okay. Now the Gemara says, 1 second. What was the shayla again? Let's go back to what we're discussing. We're talking about a case where the Kohen Gadol took a handful of keteris, put it into the kaf, and then he died. And we wanted to know, can another Kohen Gadol, the Kohen Gadol who's taking his place, use that keteris? Says Gemara, well, that can't be a question Rabbi Chanina had, because Rabbi Chanina for sure does not allow that. And I'll tell you why. Says the Gemara, Mi amar Rabbi Chanina achi, v'amar Rabbi Chanina, bepar v'loi b'damei shel par. Rabbi Chanina holds that the Kohen Gadol has to, the Kohen Gadol who's going to do the zrika, lifnai v'lifnim, with the cow, with the par, has to be the cow that he shechted. It's got to be bepar, not the damei shel par. He can't use the dam of someone else's par. Number one. V'amar Rabbi Chanina also holds keteres shechafna kodim shchitas hapar le'asav lekum. If you went out of order, and remember the order is you do smicha on your par, then he does the geirel on the two seirim, comes back and shechts the par, and then they bring him the keteris to get his spoonful for him. If he's going to do the keteris before the par, it doesn't count. It's got to be in order. Whoa, so then we have an issue here. Because keteris shechavna kodim shechlit zapar le'asav leklum. So now we have, now it can't, that means it's impossible for a Kohen Gadol to use another Kohen Gadol's keteris, because since he has to bring shecht his own par, and the keteris, he's always going to have to do the keteris after his par. So since he's going to have to shecht the par again, because he can't use the blood of the other par, so now he's going to have to go do the keteris again. So according to Rabbi Chanina, it's a no-brainer. You for sure can't use the keteris, the mulei chafna of another Kohen Gadol, because that's always going to be done after the par. And since you have to shecht your par again, so you have to do the keteris again. Says the Gemara, so this is what the shayla is. From the fact that someone's asking the shayla whether the Kohen Gadol can use the new Kohen Gadol can use the old Kohen Gadol's keteris, mechlal de kasavar bepar v'afil b'damei shel par. Must be he holds that the Kohen Gadol can go in with the dam of the par that was already shechted. Okay. So according to what he holds, so now he's asking a shayla that was asked by earlier generation. Let's just see the Rashi. This is what Rabbi Chanina says. Says Rashi, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, hamechlal desirle de ein tzarich levi paracher. He obviously holds you don't have to bring another par. Tim Kain have like a terer shechavna kedem shchilas apar. So my desirle yafishal kashilas rishonim. Oisin shenechel kualai bepar v'afilu b'damish lepar avlahen nishla shelazu. So he says those people who argue on me, yeah, they had this shayla as well. So maybe Rabbi Shua ben Levi must hold like them, and he's being machaven to the shayla that the people who argue on me had a similar shayla. Okay, wonderful. What's the maskana? If you hold, you can use damei shel par. It means you don't have to. The Kohen Gadol can use the dam of the par that was already shechted by the previous Kohen Gadol. So can he also use the keteris of the previous Kohen Gadol? Says the Gemara, Mehavila, Amar Papa, I chayfen chayzer v'chayfen chaveroi nichnas b'chafinasei, da mekai v'chafina. I ein chayfen v'chayzer v'chayfen tibay lecha. Well, he says like this. There's another shayla. When the Kohen Gadol goes lefnai v'lefnim, does he have to put the keteris back into his hand, and then put it onto the keteris? That's called chayfen v'acher chayfen v'chayzer v'chayfen. Or does he just pour it straight onto the coals from the spoon? If you hold it, he has to put it back into his hands. So then it's not a shayla because it's gonna be malay chafnav. It's gonna be in his palms anyway. It's only a shayla if you don't have to do that because then you're using the malay chafnav of the original kohen gadol. Amalei Rav Huna Breder of Yeshua l'Rav Papa. Adarabba, I could say an opposite svara. Then somebody else should not do it. You know why? Because he doesn't have the same hand size as the previous kohen gadol, so it's for sure not going to be malach avnav. It's going to be off. So he for sure shouldn't be able to do that. So for sure la yachnas acher b'chav nasi. Yeah. But the ein chayzer of chayvim v'chayzer v'chayvim. But if you're just going to pour it straight on, so you're really using the malach avnav of the first ones, so then tibelcha, that would be a good shayla. Now, what is the shayla? Di'ibailu, we have a shayla. Chayvin v'chayzer v'chayvin oiloi. Is the kohen gadol required after he takes a malach avnav and he puts it into his spoon when he goes into the Kodesh HaKodashim? Does he have to put it back into his hands or not? Says the Gemara. The Dirshu explains the shayla like this. Study itself came. Since the Torah says malach chafnav v'hevim yibeis le'pareiches, it's mashma that you need to lahachnas esakteres b'chayvnav l'kadosh hakadoshim. It's really mashma that you're supposed to have the keteres in your palm. But it's impossible to do that, as the Gemara explained. So now we have a shalom stepek. So Gemara do you still have to try to be makayim that at least, even if you mean do you have to try to be makayim what you can of the malach avnav? So that's a shalom Gemara. That's where the Tosfos Rosh explains it, and and therefore that's a shalom d'oraisa. Meaning, is this like Hutra Dechuya, sort of? Now that it's efsher to go in malach avnav, and you have to put it into a kaf, so is the Torah saying, okay, now this is really the way the Torah wants it to be done? Or no, the Torah really wants it to be done malach avnav, but it allows you to put it into a kaf because there's no other way to do it. That's one way to learn the Shayla. Others hold on, but the Reis Avada, you only have to do Chafina once. And the Rabbanon wanted to be Chayfin a second time, because maybe the keteris will spill out while you're going in, and therefore they want it to be a new malach avnav, it sounds like. Okay. So that's a shayla. Kitzah Toshma Mem Tesamid Beis Keitzad Uoisa. So what do you do? So the Gemara explains this is a second chafina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. This is a little complicated. You got to hold on to the spoon part of the cup part of the spoon with your fingertips, or with your teeth, and you raise it up until it ends, until the handle is going to be between your elbows. So you're holding the spoon by your elbows, the handle of the spoon by your elbows, and then you start turning the spoon so it's able to get into your palms. So you use your thumbs to pour it back into your palms. And you pile it up. Okay, then, so clearly as Bryce is saying that you're chayzer v'chayfna. So you got to put it back into your palm, and then you should make it v'tzayver, you pile it up on the coals, kadei shehei ashna. So it doesn't smoke up right away. Because we're concerned if it smokes up right away, you're going to die or you'll get choked up. The Yeshem, others say no, you should be mefazra, you should spread out the keteres on the coals, kadei ashna meheres lavai, so it should smoke up very quickly. That's the end of the brisa. Lemaisa, we see from this brisa that you have to be chayzer v'chayfna. Okay, now it says the Gemara, "V'zuhi avodah kosher b'mikdash." This is the hardest avodah in the mikdash. In fact, the Gemara zui v'sulai. This is it. We know this was already. Va'ika malika. There's the malika with your thumb, cutting the neck of the bird with your thumb, and we had the other one a couple platter before, kamitza. V'ika kamitza. El zuhi avodah kosher shemavei. This is kosher sheba mikdash. Zui avoida kasha me avoidis kasha shebamikdash. It sounds like this is the hard, from the hard avoidis, this is the hardest. But we do have a right from here that you do have to repeat the chafina. Geschmack. Okay. Ibrahim, fragt die Gemara. Shachat umes. Mao shiachnas acher bedame. This is back to the shayla we mentioned before. If a kohen did the shchita, kohen gadol did the shchita on his par, and then he dies, Mao shiachnas acher bedame. Can someone else just go in to the Kodesh HaKadoshim with the dam that was already geschachten? Or does the Kohen Gadol have to shecht it himself? He can only go in with his own shchita. Now, what's the shayla? Mi amrinon bepar va'afilu b'damei shel par, oidilma bepar v'loy b'damei shel par. What does the pasuk say? The pasuk says, "Bezois yavei Aaron el hakodesh." With this, Aaron's going to come into the kodesh. Befar ben bakar lechatas v'ayla. He's got to come in with a par. Okay, so not bedam. So when it says bepar, does that mean bedamei shel par? He comes in with the blood. That'd be enough, even if someone else did the shchita. Or does it have to be bepar? He's got to come in with he's got to do the whole avodah of this par. That's the shayla. So it says the Gemara. Rabbi Chanina Imer bepar v'ledam mishal par. Rish Lakish Amar bepar v'afil b'dam mishal par. Rabbi Ami Amar bepar v'ledam mishal par. Rabbi Yitzchak Navcha Amar bepar v'afil b'dam mishal par. So both these sets of Amoraim argue about this. Eisvei. So I was going to try to bring a raya from the following. Eisvei Rabbi Ami Rabbi Yitzchak Navcha. When it comes to the current Pesach. Current Pesach needs to have if you whoever wants to be part of your current Pesach has to be sign up. You got to sign up to the current Pesach. You have to be nimne. You got to be you have to be accounted for on the current Pesach. Now you could sign up and you could withdraw. That's fine. Until when can you either sign up or withdraw from this current Pesach? So it says nimnin. You get assigned. And you can withdraw mimenu ad sheyishchit until shchita. You're allowed to either get signed up or withdraw. But once the shchita is done, you're in or out. One second. If you hold the par v'dami shel par, so we should say the same thing. Seh v'dami shel seh. So then it should be ad sheyizrek. You should really have until the zrika sadam. V'imisa ad sheyizrek mi boilei. The Gemara says, "No, Shani Hasam there. It's different. Techsiv mihiyois misa." The pasuk says, "V'im yemar abayis mihiyois misa, miyois misa from being a seh mechiyusa de seh." You can only sign up or withdraw while the seh is still alive. So it explicitly says that it's got to be alive. Okay, so that's I can't bring a ray from there. Let's try somewhere else. Mar Zutra, he brings a ray. Let's talk about a Petr Chamar. Chamar, if you have a chamar who has a new baby, so you have to be poided that new chamar with a seh. So halach is ain't poidin like be'egel. You can't use a calf. V'lei b'chaya, can't be like a tzvi. V'lei b'shchuta, not an animal that's already shechted. V'lei b'treifa, not an animal that's going to die. V'lei b'kilayim, not an animal that's mixed between two different, that's a crossbreed. V'lei b'kvi, which is a crossbreed between a I think a chay and a behema, a taish and a tzvi, yeah. Uben elabesa. It's got to be a regular sheep. That's what we put in pinyin patach hamar. It's got to be with a seh. So now, why not? Why can't I use a shchuta? Who cares that it was shechted? It's seb and also bedami shel seh. Why? What's the problem with shchuta? Says the Gemara. Shani Hasam, the Yolav Sasami Pesach. We have Exer Shava from Pesach. Just like the Seh by Pesach has to be Mihiyois Miseh, it's got to be alive. So the Sefer Pigeon Patach Hamar has got to be alive as well. So this is Ima Halon Zachar Tam Uben Shana. It's got to be a male, it's got to be a tam, and it's got to be within a year old. So Avkan, we should say the same thing by Pigeon Patach Hamar. It should be Zachar Tam Uben Shana, and that's not the case. It can be zachar or nekeva. Says Gemara, because tifta. It says tifta a few times, so that's coming to be marba, and not just a seh of Pesach, but other types of seh as well. In fact, the Gemara, tifta riba. If the fact that it says tifta, it adds other animal, adds other seh. Why can't it add all the chay, the egel, all these things as well? Afilu kulunami, imkain seh ma'ahanila. Because if they would be true, then why would the Torah write seh? So seh must be telling me it's got to be a seh. And then the tifta tells me that I can include other types of seh, but it's got to be a seh. All right, we'll continue with this shayla of par v'ladami shel par. Next video.